Hello everyone, I am Dr. Chandra Gupta and today's topic of discussion is menstrual cycle. Everyone had studies the basic of this topic in 12th class, but now we will study in detail so that it will helpful in your exams and also in your clinical practice. So, menstrual cycle. As you all know, menstrual cycle, it is the periodic shedding of blood, mucus and debris of endometrium from the uterus, and the total blood loss is estimated around 20 to 80 ml, and the duration of the menstruation is about 4 to 5 days. The first onset of menstruation, that is also called menarche, and this occurs between 11 to 15 years or 13 years. Mean, you can say. This question has been asked when the first onset of menstruation occurs, that is around 13 years, and the gland which is responsible for the menstrual flow is the hypothalamus. This question has also been asked in the exam. So menstrual cycle, it is actually consist of two interconnected processes. So these two processes or the cycles are, first is ovarian cycle and the second is uterine cycle. Ovarian cycle. So ovarian cycle, it is responsible for the growth and development of follicles, ovulation and release of secondary oocyte every month, while the uterine cycle is generally responsible for the growth, regular cyclic growth and shedding of the endometrium. So menstrual cycle, the phases you all must know in the menstrual cycle. In the ovarian and the uterine cycle, there are two phases in the ovarian cycle. Now the first is the follicular phase, which is also called pre-ovulatory phase. That means this phase occurs before the ovulation, and that lasts between lasts from 1 to 14 days. And the second is called the luteal phase, which is also called post-ovulatory phase, which lasts from 15 to 28 days. While the uterine cycle, you can see there are three phases. You can say first is the menstruation, that lasts for from 1 to 5 days. Second is the proliferative phase, that extends from 6 to 14 days, and the third is called the secretory phase. Secretory phase, and that lasts from 15 to 28 days. Now remember one point, very important. You see in the uterine cycle, the first is the menstruation phase and the second is the proliferative phase, and in the ovarian cycle, see, this is the follicular phase, which occurs from first day, starts from the first day and lasts for about 14 days. So during the menstruation, the growth of the follicle already starts. This point is very important. So both the cycle means uterine and the ovarian cycle are under the control of hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, or you can say the hypothalamo-pituitary ovarian axis, which I will discuss in later on in the menstrual cycle. This is very important to understand. The number of questions has been asked from the HPO axis. Now the ovarian cycle. This cycle, ovarian cycle, as you all know, is the monthly cycle by which eggs develop and are released from the ovary. Eggs develop step by step and are released from the ovary in females between the puberty and the menopause. And the two phases are follicular phase, or you can say pre-ovulatory phase, that lasts from 1 to 14 days, and the luteal phase or the post-ovulatory phase, that lasts from 15 to 20 days. Now see the diagram carefully. The follicular phase, you can see in the follicular phase there are different stages of development of follicles are there, and this phase starts from the first day day of the menses and lasts for about the 14 days. Very important. And the main hormone which is responsible for these development of follicles is called follicle stimulating hormone, and this hormone is secreted by the anterior part of the pituitary. So after maturation, the ovulation occurs on the 14th day, and after that luteal phase starts from the 15th day. You can see the luteal phase starts from the 15th day, means just after ovulation. Luteal phase starts and it lasts for about 28 days. So in the follicular phase, the development of follicles is caused by FSH hormone, and these developing follicles secrete one main hormone, that is estrogen. And after the ovulation, the main hormone is the progesterone, or in the luteal phase corpus luteum which forms, and this secretes four main hormones: estrogen, progesterone, relaxin and inhibin. So this is all about the menstrual cycle. Next, as I told you, the growth of the follicles are caused by the growth of the follicle means primordial follicle, primary follicle, secondary follicle and the mature Graafian follicle. These growth occurs because of the FSH hormone. This FSH hormone is secreted by the anterior part of the pituitary, and the LH hormone causes final maturation and the ovulation and the formation and maintenance of corpus luteum, which is all caused by LH hormone. After the ovulation, both FSH, now you can see after the ovulation both the level of FSH and LH, see in the diagram very carefully, FSH level and the LH level comes down. The level of LH, luteinizing hormone, see it is static, but just before the 12 hours before the ovulation, LH comes to the peak. And the level of FSH, see in the diagram, FSH level is maximum at the 12th day of the menstrual cycle. So the main thing is that maturation is caused by FSH hormone and the ovulation is caused by the LH hormone. Follicular phase, now it starts with the first day of your menses and ends with the ovulation, that is on the 14th day, and this phase lasts for about 2 weeks. And as I told you, the growth of the follicle is caused by follicle stimulating hormone. And the different stages of development of follicles are: first is the primordial follicle, then primary follicle, secondary follicle and the mature Graafian follicle. Now I will discuss to you in detail about the every follicle. So first is the primordial follicle. This follicle, how this follicle forms. So just I want to tell you, during the intrauterine life, some germ cells migrate from the endoderm of the yolk, and they start dividing and form oogonia. See, from these germ cells, again I am telling, these germ cells are coming from the endoderm of the yolk cell during the intrauterine life. They come in the gonadal ridge and start dividing and form the oogonia. These oogonia keep on dividing and form primary oocyte. Now when this primary oocyte is surrounded by flattened granulosa cells, then it is called primordial follicle. So this question has been asked in the exam, that how the primordial follicle forms. It forms by primary oocyte which is surrounded by the flattened granulosa cells. One hormone is very important which is secreted by these granulosa cells, and this is AMH hormone, that is anti-Mullerian hormone. I will discuss with you later on this anti-Mullerian hormone. Right now just remember the anti-Mullerian hormone. Now the primordial follicles. These primordial follicles are maximum at the 20 weeks of intrauterine life. They are maximum in number, around 6 to 7 million, and after that during the birth their number generally decreases to 2 millions. So a female fetus is born with about 2 millions of the primordial follicles. As the puberty comes, their number again decreases and it comes around 4 lakh, and during the entire reproductive period the only 400 ovulate. This is very important. This question has been asked a number of times. So what I want to tell you, during the intrauterine life there are maximum number of primordial follicles, that is 6 to 7 million, and during the entire reproductive period only 400 ovulate. This is very important. So their degeneration of follicles starts in the intrauterine life, and it's continued throughout the childhood, childbearing age, and as a result no more follicles can be detected in the menopausal woman. This is very important. Now as I told you, there's these developing follicles. First 70 days of development of these primordial follicles is gonadotropin independent, very important, does not require any hormone, while the next 14 days of development of these follicles require hormone, that is FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. Now see what actually the FSH hormone does. The function of FSH are that it acts on the granulosa cells, causing proliferation of these granulosa cells. As a result, these granulosa cells keep on proliferating and increase in number. It also rescue the follicles. It protect the follicles from dying also. And third one is it helps in the full maturation of the Graafian follicle. Very important, full maturation of Graafian follicle. It also induces aromatization. Very important. I will discuss with you later on this aromatization, that is to convert androgen to estrogen. And the last one is this FSH synthesizes both the FSH and LH receptors that are present on granulosa and theca cells. I'll show you the diagram in the next slides. So here one thing I want to tell you, the AMH hormone, which is secreted by the granulosa cells of the primordial follicle, and this AMH is actually the test is there. AMH test is used for ovarian reserve, means the number of follicles which are present in the ovary. This detects by the AMH test. So as the follicles are reducing as the age advances, so the level of hormone also decreases with the age. Now next is primary follicle, which is also called preantral follicle. Out of few primordial follicle, or you can say the primary follicles which were proliferating and growing, out of these the follicle which contain maximum FSH receptors will grow further, or you can say will grow further and form dominant follicle, and the rest follicle will die or become atratic. The granulosa cells of the developing follicles, they start secreting hormone, that is estrogen and inhibin, whereas the theca cells, you can see in the diagram with red color I had drawn the granulosa cells, and these granulosa cells secrete hormone estrogen and inhibin B. Very important, this question has been asked in the exam. The developing follicles, their granulosa cells secrete hormone, that is estrogen and inhibin B, whereas their theca cells, you can see in the diagram, these are the theca cells which secrete hormone androgen. Now this is the primary follicle, and this follicle is a like solid follicle. This follicle does not contain antrum cavity. Now next I want to show you the particular granulosa and the theca cell. And now you can see in the diagram, these theca cells, on the surface of these theca cells, LH receptors are present, and they get activated when the LH hormone acts on these receptors. So as a result, the LDL cholesterol from the blood comes into the theca cell, which then converted into androgen hormone. See in the diagram, androgen hormone. So androgen hormone is being synthesized by these theca cells. This androgen hormone, through the process of diffusion, reach to the granulosa cell. See, this is the granulosa cell, and their surface, on their surface FSH receptors are present, and these FSH receptors get activated by the FSH hormone. Now androgen hormone, in presence of enzyme aromatase, this enzyme aromatase on the presence of this enzyme, this androgen convert into estrogen and inhibin B. So granulosa cells secrete hormone estrogen and inhibin B. So FHS hormone, which this also act on this aromatase enzyme. So the main, and these developing follicle secrete hormone estrogen. Now what is the function of estrogen? The main type of estrogen is estradiol 2, E2. This question has also been asked in the exam. And the main function of estrogen is, it is responsible for the development of secondary sexual characters in the female, responsible for feminization. And the next is, it causes regeneration and proliferation of the endometrium of the uterus. And the last, it also causes proliferation of the ducts of the breast and accumulation of fat in the breast. So this is the theory is here. The theory of theca and granulosa cell is also called two-cell two-gonadotropin hypothesis. Why two gonadotropin? Because two hormones, FSH and LH hormone, are present, and they act on these theca cells and the granulosa cells. Now the next follicle is the secondary follicle, or you can say the antral follicle. Out of about number of primary follicle, only 20 antral follicle develop in each cycle, or you can say from around 8 to 10 antral follicle from each ovary. And on which basis these 20 follicles develop or been selected? The dominant follicle having the maximum estrogen in the antrum, in this antrum fluid is present, and this fluid contain hormone estrogen, and less is androgen hormone. So the antrum contain the follicle that contains maximum estrogen, less androgen, and whose granulosa cells contain maximum FSH receptors. As I showed in the earlier slide, FSH receptors are present on these granulosa cells. So the follicle which contain maximum FSH receptors will be selected only, and the rest of the follicles will die, or you can say, and the rest of the follicle will die by the 8th day. That is very important. You all must remember this thing. The rest of the follicles will die by the 8th day. So after the 8th day, only single dominant follicle will grow further. This is the mature Graafian follicle. It is formed when LH will luteinizing hormone will act on the selected dominant follicle. Now you all must remember what are the components of this mature Graafian follicle. So from the outer to inner we will go. Outer part is called the stroma part, and after the stroma there is a theca layer. Theca cells are present, theca externa and interna. These theca cells, as I told you, secrete hormone, androgen hormone, and after the theca cell there is a granulosa cell. Granulosa cell secrete estrogen and inhibin hormone, and there is a big antrum cavity which contains estrogen and androgen hormone, and then there is a discus polygyrus layer. You can see discus polygyrus layer. This is a multi-layer granulosa layer around the ovum, and it anchors the ovum to the follicle. It fixes the ovum to the follicle. There is a, as I told you, there is a one large antrum cavity is present, and after the discus polygyrus there is a corona radiata, single layer of granulosa cells around the oocyte. This is called corona radiata, and after the corona radiata there is a zona pellucida layer. Very important, this question has been asked in the exam, and that zona pellucida layer is formed by, so it is formed by the developing oocyte, and this is a glycoprotein layer. So after the zona pellucida you can see there is a space present. This space is called the perivitelline space, and after the perivitelline space there is a vitelline membrane, and after that there is a oocyte, developing oocyte, and the cytoplasm is also called vitellus. So the mature Graafian follicle, size of the mature Graafian follicle is about 20 mm. And one thing is very important, I want to tell you that the total time taken for the primordial follicle, from the starting first one primordial follicle to become the pre-ovulative follicle or the mature Graafian follicle is 84 days. Time it takes around the 84 days to become the mature Graafian follicle. This question has been asked in the exam. Now next is the ovulation. As I told you, ovulation takes place under the effect of LH hormone, and as a result secondary oocyte, this is the secondary oocyte which is released into the pelvic cavity. Now you all must know what are the different contents of the secondary oocyte. So secondary oocyte contain outer layer of secondary oocyte is called the corona radiata. Then there is a zona pellucida layer, a glycoprotein layer which is formed by the developing oocyte, and after that there is a perivitelline space, PVS, perivitelline space, and after the perivitelline space there is a vitelline membrane. So secondary oocyte, this is haploid in nature. So ovulation, as I told you, takes place under the effect of LH hormone. We will discuss the functions of the LH hormone. So LH hormone acts on the theca cells, as I told you, because theca cells contain the receptors for LH hormone and activate the LH receptors. So LH hormone activate the LH receptors. It causes the full maturation of mature Graafian follicle and the oocyte, and this also cause rupture of the mature Graafian follicle, which is called ovulation, and as a result secondary oocyte is released into the pelvic cavity. This oocyte, very important, this oocyte lives only for 24 hours or less. This question has also been asked in the exam. Now the pain, generally some women feel pain during the ovulation, and sometimes even feel slight spotting also. So the pain during the ovulation is called Michel-Merckx sign. This question has also been asked in the exam, Michel-Merckx sign. And this LH also causes formation and maintenance of the corpus luteum. Now, one thing I want to tell you, for the infertile couples, lady having to find out whether the ovulation takes place or not. So we one investigation has been advised. So to know whether ovulation takes place or not, actually in case of infertility, TVS follicular monitoring is done, which is also called interfollicular test. In this, TVS follicular monitoring is done every second day to know whether the follicles are proper maturing or not, whether ovulation is taking place or not. So next is the luteal phase. This phase is also very important. Luteal phase is also called the post-ovulatory phase, and this phase begins just after the ovulation, and this is the constant phase. You all must remember that this luteal phase is the constant phase. As I told you earlier, that this luteal phase lasts for about 14 days. So in a 28-day cycle, if this luteal phase, as I told you, lasts for 14 days, so in a 28-day cycle, ovulation always takes place on the 14th day. But if the question has been asked in the exam, that if the cycle is of 32 days, then on which day ovulation takes place, then you all must remember that always do the minus from the 32. That is means 32 minus 14, which comes 18. That means ovulation will take place on the 18th day in a case of 32 days of menstrual cycle. So this is very important. This has been asked. So in this phase, corpus luteum is formed, and this corpus luteum synthesizes hormones, that is estrogen, progesterone, relaxin, and inhibin A. Just remember this inhibin A, because the granulosa cells of the developing follicle, they release hormone estrogen and inhibin B, while this Cl, corpus luteum, secrete hormone estrogen, inhibin A, and the main predominant hormone which is secreted by corpus luteum is the progesterone hormone. This question has also been asked in the exam. You can see in the diagram this corpus luteum, which is a yellow color body, and the life of the corpus luteum is 12 to 14 days, and the main maximum activity of the corpus luteum occurs 8th day after the ovulation. You can say that at the 28th day of menstrual cycle, means after the ovulation, means first 14 days and then plus 8 day more, that is 22nd day of the menstrual cycle. So peak progesterone, you can say, or maximum activity of corpus luteum is around the 22nd day of the menstrual cycle. Now we will discuss about the functions of the progesterone, which is also very important. So first function, it causes the secretory changes in the endometrium of the uterus. When I will discuss with you the uterine cycle, then I will discuss with you that what this corpus luteum, how it works, what it does. So the second is that it decreases the contraction of the myometrium of the uterus, so as it helps in pregnancy also. So the third is the cervical mucus becomes thick and viscid under the because of presence of this progesterone that prevents sperm penetration. Next is the corpus luteum also causes hypertrophy of the breast along with estrogen. This progesterone also raises the basal body temperature around 0.2 to 0.5 degree centigrade, and this corpus luteum, because this secretes hormone progesterone, and this suppresses the new follicular growth. Very important. There is no development of follicle in the luteal phase. This is very important. Number of times this has been asked. Now here in this graph I want to show you the different level of fluctuating levels of hormones which are secreted by the ovary. Now you can see in the luteal phase that corpus luteum is formed in the luteal phase, and this corpus luteum secretes main predominant hormone, that is progesterone. So the maximum activity of progesterone is after 8th day after the ovulation, or you can say that the maximum activity of the corpus luteum is same, that is 8th day after the ovulation, that is around the 22nd day of the menstrual cycle. Now you can see if serum progesterone level, if it get checked, then the value is around maximum around the mid luteal phase, that is 5 to 15. And during the follicular phase, the level of progesterone, this is the follicular phase, and see this is the level of progesterone which is very less, and that is less than 1. While in the follicular phase there is a maximum value of estrogen. So why? Because these developing follicles secrete hormone estrogen, and the maximum value of estrogen is, you can see, is in the follicular phase or around the ovulation. See, in the follicular phase is around the 50, and around the ovulation, during, or you can say during the ovulation, its serum estradiol value is very much more, around the 300 to 600 microgram. While in the luteal phase, LP is the luteal phase, its value is around 150. This is the luteal phase, and this is the level of estrogen hormone, and it is around 150 to 200 microgram. So if now the corpus luteum, if this corpus luteum, if the fertilization, you can say, takes place, then this does not take place, then this corpus luteum degenerates, and this degenerated corpus luteum release some cytokines, prostaglandins and inflammatory mediators, and that causes shedding of endometrium, and that leads to menstruation. And if fertilization takes place, then this corpus luteum does not degenerate, and the trophoblast cells of the growing embryo will secrete main hormone, that is HCG, and that maintains the corpus luteum, and its maximum activity you can see at the 8th week of pregnancy. So if fertilization takes place, then the maximum activity of the corpus luteum is seen at the 8th week of pregnancy. See, 8th week of pregnancy. But if fertilization does not takes place, then the maximum activity of the corpus luteum is seen after 8th day after the ovulation.